At a single sitting, ate apparently a McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese and a Big Mac and a fillet of fish, which is like 3 dinners.
Wait a second, is Donald Trump a hobbit?
Gentlemen, we do not stop till nightfall.
What about breakfast?
We've already had it.
We've had one, yes. What about second breakfast?
Hello, Internet. Now, Donald Trump's health has been in the news a lot recently, news which I can neither confirm nor deny that I find sexually exciting. Donald Trump, of course, wants us to believe that he is totally perfect, totally wonderful, totally healthy man. What a great impression that was. And despite what a gift it naturally is at lying about just about fucking everything, it's a lie that's pretty hard to pull off when you are essentially the festering, fetid corpse of Jabba the Hutt, which is occasionally reanimated by a fucking cattle prod. Now, I'm not one to make light of mental health. In fact, you should see how many medicine bottles are over there. No, literally, you should see, but you won't and you can't, which is good. But there is a certain fascinating, delicious irony and just quality of intrigue about a man who is clearly deeply narcissistic and has all these inner demons and issues, just getting dementia and almost comically like just unraveling in front of the world and just sort of spilling more and more secrets. Recently, he has been saying a lot more openly stuff about his health, stuff that is concerning for some people and encouraging for others, shall we say. And it's not just Trump. As his health deteriorates visibly, on camera, off camera, anywhere in the world, the demonic spirit world that he happened to spawn from, even his aides and people around him are spilling the beans on his health. And a fascinating new update is going into his eating habits, which I think anyone could probably have guessed weren't brilliant. But the full story is crazy. Just check out this clip. Oh, right, but before you check out the clip, I'm supposed to tell you to subscribe and stuff, so do that.
Trump's health after 4 years of being bombarded with questions about Biden's, and these questions about Trump, certainly fair. And look, it's also mysterious. He's taking more aspirin than his doctors recommend. Wait, was it an MRI scan or something else? What was it for? He still didn't really say. So the doctor said it was to rule out some heart things.
What an interesting panel we've got here. We've got a member of a 1980s glam rock band. We've got the guy who played the dude in CSI Miami. We've got the rock's grandma. We've got a man who presumably played a religious figure in Game of Thrones. And AOC's even called a cousin. It's a great panel. I'm excited.
Take it wherever you want here, but I do think it adds to this perception that was already growing that Trump just seems a little less larger than life suddenly.
Larger than life. I think CSI Miami guy just snuck in a sneak diss about Trump's weight, but I find it kind of amazing that, mainstream media is just now picking up on the fact that Donald Trump is aging like a sack of shit. This was true forever. I mean, he's always been a sack of shit, let's be clear, but the aging part, this has been pointed out a lot recently, but so much was made of Joe Biden's health at a time when, yes, his health was concerning, but equally of concern was Donald Trump's health. And in fact, at least Joe Biden, it was sort of consistent. It was okay, well, this man is quite old and he appears to be losing some of his faculties, but at least when he had his faculties, he was pretty consistent, pretty smart, pretty well spoken. Donald Trump is a man who was always a batshit crazy narcissist who always spoke like he had a man kicking him in the head every 4 seconds. So you add into that the fact that he's now got dementia and so, clear cognitive decline, and it's a much more potent and terrifying recipe for presidential disaster and just the worst sort of toddler being in power. The fact that the mainstream media is now just finally being wait, Trump is old too, is batshit insane. They're all complicit.
First of all, if he's blinking in those meetings, in those occasions where he seems to fall asleep, those are the longest blinks in history, right? Those are blinks that last a long, long time. So that's not really credible. There was lots of interesting stuff in that article, though. Akela, there was a passage in which someone reported seeing Trump eat. And Trump, at a meal, at a single sitting, ate apparently a McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese and a Big Mac and a fillet of fish, which is 3 dinners. Is that the way this president dines, and in that quantity? And should that perhaps be alarming? He's going to be 80 years old later this year. It doesn't seem he's really taking care of himself.
It doesn't seem he's really taking care of himself. And when has he ever taken care? What is there to take care of? A black hole of narcissism cannot take care of itself by design. It consumes and sucks in everything around it. There is no restrictions or self-control. It's just give, take, give, take. I'll keep ranting about this, by the way. I fucking hate how complicit the mainstream media is in this shit. We're at the point now where Trump is almost Weekend at Bernie style. We literally have the highest office supposedly in the world where a president is being held up with string and he's in meetings like... And the media are just now being like, he seems to be like maybe slightly aging a bit. I guess the positive spin on this is that, the emperor is truly having no clothes, it's unraveling, this giant fleshy body is being shown, but it's a bit concerning that it feels a bit like we're in sort of like Russia and, Vladimir Putin's on his deathbed, 2 minutes away from passing away, and the news media over there are finally being like, are we getting news in that Vladimir Putin is feeling a bit poorly? And also some reports that maybe he was kind of a dick the whole time.
Well, anyone who has traveled with this president, particularly on the campaign trail, knows that often on the plane that they served McDonald's, they served other fast foods. So this is certainly something that's part of the president's diet. The story also talked about how the president doesn't sleep very much. And as someone who closely follows his True Social account, I can confirm that he's up at all hours of the night and the morning. But again, the president has really talked about his good genetics. He's just largely pushing back, and he's sort of talked about how this has been his lifestyle for many years. The story also touched on the fact that he doesn't exercise very much other than golf, which we know he does pretty much every weekend. But again, the president in this story denying that these are anything of major concern.
Yeah, what's so interesting is that he gave the interview a tool, I think.
I mean, she's not wrong. It is interesting that he gave the interview a tool. Sure, but I think that's also sort of part of what I was talking about earlier, which is that, his cognitive decline is so severe now that he's like, doctors told me I have 2 weeks to live. Luckily, 2 weeks, I looked it up. It ends in 2029. I really don't know what to talk about here because, this is one of those things where it's like, this sort of story is like living in a twilight world when you have, adults who are presumably professionals, college-educated people sitting around being like, apparently Mr. President likes to eat 2 Humpty Dumpty meals a day. You can't help but think, how did we get here? But just in case you missed it, because they really sort of went over it very quickly. Let's double check what he's actually saying he's eating in one day. So while flying to a campaign event, Trump consumed French fries, a McDonald's quarter pounder hamburger, a Big Mac, and a Filet-O-Fish. I mean, let's hear it from the Rock Senior himself.
At a single sitting, ate apparently a McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese and a Big Mac and a Filet-O-Fish, which is like 3 dinners. Is that?
Yeah, that is 3 dinners, and that's 3 American dinners, which, might be 12 European dinners. I'm not sure. Wait a second, is Donald Trump a hobbit? This explains so much. The multiple meals, the weird tiny hands, the obsession with gold. I mean, it's clicking.
Gentlemen, we do not stop till nightfall.
What about breakfast?
We've already had it.
We've had one, yes. What about second breakfast?
Don't think he knows about second breakfast, Pip.
What about elevensies? Luncheon, afternoon tea, dinner, supper. He knows about them, doesn't he?
I wouldn't count on it.
Pippin!
What I find really telling about mainstream media and just the overall discussion of this topic is if you sort of look on social media for like discussions about Donald Trump's health, especially his eating habits, there's like basically today and then like a couple of years ago, and that's it. Like here's a clip I found from a couple of years ago, for example.
What are 2 things you do to stay healthy?
Well, I used to play golf a little bit. That gave me, so I don't know, but it seems to be quite a dangerous sport in retrospect. I try and eat properly. I do the best, and I try and get some. I do, but proper hamburgers.
And according to him, a proper hamburger is just McDonald's, because anything else is trash.
All of the wrong food. But then I say, does anybody know what the right food is?
You're
I
right
have
about
people
that,
lecturing me for years. Oh, don't eat this, don't eat that. They're gone. They have passed away long ago. And here I am. So I'm not sure I want to make too many changes.
So this really shows the stupidity of Trump, as if, much more evidence was needed, because it's like that stupid pig-headed mindset, confirmation bias. I think that's the word for it, or maybe something else. But everyone knows one person who's like, I've driven around in my car for years with no seatbelt and I've been fine. My friends, meanwhile, have died in car crashes. It's like, yeah, okay, well done. So far, you've been an anomaly. But you're also missing the part where, according to logics and science and fact, the things that Republicans are allergic to, basically, you will be safer and have a longer lifespan if you do take care of your health, if you do preventative things such as wearing a seatbelt and not eating fucking cheese for breakfast, he said hypocritically. And the great genetic thing is probably true. I know, as some of you probably do as well, I know someone who's on the older side in their late 60s, and they've been smoking like a chimney since they were a child, basically, and they are absolutely fine, no cancer. They are a miracle, a flaw, and they would still elongate their lifespan expectancy if they stopped smoking the cancer sticks. And for some balance, here's a video on social media from, basically today about this shit.
Trump says he takes more aspirin than his doctors recommend because he wants nice, thin blood flowing through him. He also says he eats a Big Mac, a quarter pounder, a fish fillet, large fries, and an extra large Coke for lunch every single day.
That face, it's the one I was trying not to do earlier. That's the, I find the reports of Donald Trump's health interesting face. Okay, but rewinding a bit, what that guy, Trump's an idiot and he's getting more dumb as he ages rapidly in front of us, but he wouldn't say something as stupid as thin blood. There's no way. I mean, let's just check that. Oh no, this appears to be real. Apparently on Thursday he said, they say aspirin is good for thinning out the blood, and I don't want thick blood pouring through my heart. I want nice, thin blood pouring through my heart. Does that make sense? Does that make sense is the most infuriating phrase ever uttered by man. It's usually uttered by the most contemptible fuckers after they've said the most stupid fucking thing you ever heard in your life. I think a lot of us sometimes forget that Donald Trump deliberately talks in circles and talks about batshit insane stuff and rambles and uses, words that make no sense and all that stuff, precisely to hide from himself, everyone in the world, everyone on the planet, his followers, what a dumb fuck he is. He has the IQ of a squirrel. This is the man in charge of the nuclear codes. Let's remember that. A man who says, I want nice thin blood pouring through my heart. It's like asking a medieval man what he thinks about the vapors. And finally, because no internet deep dive in 2026 is complete without some AI slop, here's some AI slop of Trump's eating habits.
I love McDonald's.
Well, at this point, that's barely AI. But it is AI, so it has about the same entertainment value as Trump's meals have nutritional value. I'm British Chris, and this is Raw America.